Holy Ghost, Batman. By Amala Run. Chapter 13. Misread Signals. Drake Tower Hotel. Stephanie went down the hall to her own room down the hall, a place nearby but not too close, and shut the bedroom door behind her, and immediately locked it. She hadn't stormed out. She hadn't raised her voice, but her chest was tight, her hands were trembling, and her eyes stung from holding back tears. The polished, neutral elegance of the suit suddenly felt like it was pressing in on her. She sat down on the edge of the bed, pulled out her phone, and tapped Tim's name before she could second-guess it. He picked up on the second ring. "Tim!" "Hey," Tim said. "Everything okay?" Stephanie took a breath and immediately lost it. No, Tim, it's not okay." His voice sharpened. "What happened? Is Danny—" "He's not hurt," she said quickly, wiping her eyes. "Not physically, but God, Tim, there's so much I don't know how to say." She pushed her palm against her forehead. "There's this girl, she's here, her name is Danny, and Danny introduced her like she's family, like she's his daughter, and she calls him Dad." There was a pause on the other end. "Wait, what?" She said it like it was nothing, like it was just a nickname, but it wasn't a joke. And then Danny said something about a man, someone named Vlad Masters, who was obsessed with his mom, Maddie, and tried to get involved with the family. "Okay," Tim said slowly. Stephanie kept going, her words tumbling out faster now. "He said he didn't know about Danny for a while, that this man, Vlad, was manipulative, controlling, creepy, that he crossed lines to claim them, and now there is this girl who is clearly connected to all that, and he says he stepped in to protect her. Tim, it doesn't take a genius to read between the lines." Tim was quiet for a beat. "Steph, I thought it was a joke at first, a misunderstanding," she continued, "but the way he talked about her, he's so protective, and she calls him Dad. Dad! Tim, and then he mentioned this man, Vlad Masters. This piece of trash hurt our baby, Tim." Tim's breath caught, just slightly. Stephanie didn't notice. She was unraveling too fast. "He said Vlad was obsessed with his mom, that he tried to control the family, and then he finds out about this girl after the fact. It's not subtle, Tim, and Danny just says it like it's history, like it happened and he deals with it, but—" Her voice dropped. "He's 17, and he has a daughter. 7 or 8 at least, maybe as old as 10. He was still a baby back then. She's just a little girl, and she is here, and she's smiling, and I don't know what the hell happened, but I know that someone hurt him, and we weren't there to stop it." Tim was quiet for a moment, jaw tight. Then he said, "Danny never mentioned this guy before." "No, he just dropped his name and moved on like it wasn't the most horrifying thing I've ever heard. If Danny hadn't just suddenly been there, I don't know when he would have mentioned it." She leaned forward, hands gripping her knees. "And I just stood there trying to be polite to this kid while my brain was screaming," Tim assured her, his voice slow and steady. "We will figure it out, okay? We will talk to him, gently, when he's ready." "I'm not ready," she said through her tears, "and I don't know how to be ready. I think something happened to him," she whispered. "Something awful, and no one ever noticed. No one asked. Not me, not the Fentons, and now he's just coping, like it's normal. Steph, and this girl, this kid, she's just here in a hotel suit, like she belongs, and she probably does, and he's trying so hard to keep everything together and act like he's fine, and I can't stop thinking about what he must have been through." On the other end of the line, Tim sighed. "You don't have proof of that. He never said it directly. At that age, he shouldn't have been able to have a child. Maybe he adopted a runaway? No, he didn't. Because if he's like us, then he never says things directly. He hides between half smiles and shoulder shrugs. I can already tell that's how he protects people. He says enough to make you think he's being honest, but never enough to really open up. Just implied that she was his biologically, but not because he had a relationship. Tim, she looks like you and has my nose. just like Danny does. She has our eyes, Tim. Tim was quiet again. She couldn't hear his heart thrumming in his chest. The DNA test had confirmed that Danny was 100% theirs. Before Tim ever went to Springfield, he trusted Steph, trusted her instincts. I'm barely a father, and now I have a granddaughter? I don't know what to do, she admitted, voice breaking. I can't ask him about it. I can't look at him and ask, what if I'm right? What if I'm wrong? Tim's voice softened. You don't have to figure it out tonight. Just be there, be patient, and maybe trust if it was as dark as you think, he would have come forward by now. I don't know if I believe that, Stephanie whispered. He is so used to taking care of everyone else. He wouldn't want to make anyone worry. A knock sounded at the hotel door. Hang on, she said into the phone. Someone's here. She stepped out of the bedroom and opened the door to find Jazz standing there, calm but concerned. Mind if I come in? Steph looked between her and the phone. Yeah, come in. Jazz stepped inside and closed the door behind her. Stephanie sank back onto the bed as Jazz took the nearby armchair. Tim's still on the line, Steph added. Good, Jazz said gently. He might want to hear this too. There was a long silence. Jazz folded her hands in her lap. I think you misunderstood something, she said softly. Stephanie held her breath. Jazz approached carefully, settling on the arm of a nearby chair. You heard the version that doesn't make any sense. I know I don't have the full story, Stephanie replied, but it's hard not to jump to conclusions when your son says he has a daughter non-consensually and brings up a man who was obsessed with his mother. Jazz sighed. Vlad Masters is a complicated name in our household. He was obsessed with my mom, yes. And he did a lot of awful things, manipulative, invasive, morally bankrupt, but not in the way you're imagining, Stephanie nodded. He says she's his daughter, but he is still just a kid, and I don't understand how any of this happened. Jazz exhaled. That's the thing. It's not a story that makes sense to most people. Stephanie looked at her, vulnerable and raw. Did something happen to him? Jazz hesitated. He's okay, she said at last. But he's had to deal with things no one should, and some of it's hard to explain without sounding crazy. Stephanie frowned. Jess looked down. There are parts of our lives, mine and Danny's, that don't really fit into regular categories. They aren't abusive, not like that, not from Vlad, but they are still traumatic, and they come from people who wanted to own us. She doesn't mention it to Danny very often, but she couldn't forget or forgive Johnny and Kitty for using her like a toy in their own romantic subplot, manipulated into a relationship only to be made a puppet on Kitty's strings, all the times being overshadowed or thrown around by friends and enemies alike, with so little regard, had been terrifying. Stephanie's lips pressed into a thin line. Like this Vlad? Jazz nodded once. And Vlad was obsessed with control, being the center of everything. And Danny, she's real. She's not some metaphor or cover-up, but she is also not a product of something done to Danny in the way you're thinking. She's a product of something that was taken from him. She's more an accident someone tried to erase, and Danny wouldn't let her be erased. Stephanie blinked at her. You're not explaining this very well. Chaz gave a tired smile. Because it's not a problem most people ever have to deal with. There's no pamphlet for this. She moved closer, offering her hand. You don't have to understand everything all at once. Just trust that Danny is okay, and that he loves her, and that he didn't do anything wrong. Stephanie's eyes welled up again. She took Jazz's hand. He's so kind. I don't know how he came out that kind. Jazz smiled. That's the part that does make sense. He got it from both his moms. Stephanie laughed, watery and soft, and leaned into a hug. For a moment, the only sound was the low crackle of the fire and the two women breathing in the same quiet confusion, both trying to parent the same boy, both learning what it meant to do so with grace. And that was the chapter! I hope you liked it. If you did, leave a like. If you like my videos in general, there's a subscribe button. And if you want to get notified, there's a bell. It's good that YouTube made those features, isn't it? Anyways, I do Podfic commissions. If you want me to read fanfiction of your own, or a fanfiction of someone else, you could commission me by contacting me over Discord. Infos to that are in my channel description. I have another picture of it on the screen for my yapping from the fic, because I think these pictures at the end are actually AI generated, because some of the story was written in AI. But I don't know the complete details because I kinda either forgot or it wasn't that important. Enjoy the rest of your time, and see you next time.